Tana Simmons of Tipton, Indiana, was selected as the Champion Senior Showman at the Team Purebred National Junior show this weekend in Springfield, Illinois.
The number one thing about showmanship is having the judge get the best look at your pig as many times as they can, so it sticks in his mind. You need to know what these high features are of your pig, so that way that's the view that the judge will see the most. So if your pig has a really good profile, you need to make sure that when you go in the ring, you think to yourself, okay, this judge needs to see the profile as many times as they can. You also need to show the front view, the back view, three-quarter view, just not as much, because you're going to try to accentuate those high features as much as you can.
Tana's daily routine for taking care of her animals includes plenty of time for showmanship practice.
I wake up in the morning around 7 or so, and I go out to the barn and I'll feed and walk and rinse, and then just kind of let my pigs chill out throughout the day. And then depending on how hot it is, I'll go down to the barn 2 or 3 times to rinse and check on things and just make sure that everything's still in working order. And then every evening around 7 or 8, I'll get my pigs back out, and that's when I practice with showmanship. You know, I work them in the yard or do whatever it is that I need to do to get them ready for a show. And then again, we'll feed in the evenings and then do it all over again the next day.
To be sure she and her pigs are showing at the top of their game when it's time to hit the ring, Tana uses some creativity to set up realistic show ring scenarios at home.
At home, I oftentimes work with all my pigs out in the yard, and I pretend that a tree is the judge, or my mom will come out and sit in the yard and she'll be the judge, or even sometimes if my dog happens to be around, he'll sit there and I'll pretend that he's the judge. But that's the best way to prepare for showmanship, is just to practice in the most realistic setting that you can.
When the showing gets this good, it's easy to get wrapped up in all of the smallest details, but Tana has some great basic advice for beginning showmen.
Some of the basics that you need to keep in mind, when you're showing, are you need to keep the pig between yourself and the judge. And when I was really little, I was taught that it was like a ham sandwich and the people were the bread. So you had the judge, the pig, which is the ham, and then yourself. So that's a really easy way for younger showmen to keep that in mind. Another thing you kind of need to keep in mind for these first year showmen are that you need to have the right utensils, whether that be a whip or a pipe, whatever you're comfortable with, whatever your pig's comfortable with. And young showmen also need to remember that they need to keep a brush or a rag in their back pocket. Just simple things like that they're kind of easy to forget at times.
Tana, who will be starting college as an ag communications major at Purdue University this fall, encourages young members to stick with showing livestock and take advantage of all the opportunities that junior livestock shows can present.
If you're just starting out as a young showman, I cannot emphasize enough to not give up, and just if you're passionate about showing, or that's something you think you want to do, go for it. I know I came from a community where there was a lot of livestock around, but not as many kids my age showed, and that was kind of discouraging to me, because they were all playing basketball or soccer, and I was showing pigs. As I grew older, I gained more and more friends that showed, and I remember one time I was getting ready to go into a showmanship ring. This was probably 4 or 5 years ago, and it kind of clicked to me, like, this is my sport. And when I walk into that show ring, that's my football field or my basketball court. That's where I get my time to shine. And once I really made that realization, it became a lot easier for me to, prioritize with my, livestock comes first. So to you younger members, just keep going and have as much fun with as you can, make friends, participate in contests, and, keep doing what you love.
For more stories around the livestock industry, stay tuned to FinalDriveTV.com.